Welcome to this information session for the OAA's Grants Committee today, June 11th, 2026, all virtual. Appreciate everyone being here. So for on our agenda today, I'm going to do just a quick reminder about what a information session means. Is different from a regular meeting of the Grants Committee. This might be our first Grants Committee specific information session. And then we'll look at some amendments that for the city and county planning grants that are proposed, a quick overview of the FY27 applications received, and then a look at the requests and recommendations, a summary, and finally some next steps. So, um, um, review of public information session. So this session is open to the public, and it is for us to provide information to the grants committee. But it is an exchange of information only. There is no public comment. The committee may not discuss or conduct business, but committee members can ask questions. And the goal of this is to go through the recommendations and say on the detailed side, so that any questions can be addressed either today or at the grants committee meeting that's on Monday, and to also when the grants committee makes its decision, that meeting won't take as long as this one does because we've already been through a lot of the details. I will provide a summary during that one of what we've looked at today. So the first thing up for that will be up for the grants committee's consideration at the meeting on Monday is some amendments to a few planning grants that there's no cost to them, but their plans are either done or almost done, and they just need a little more time to get the required application that comes with the planning grant submitted to us to kind of finalize that process. So you can see the localities that are listed here. Their current period is supposed to end 6/30. We're recommending to amend that to the end, it's 9/30, the end of September, with that application due by September 1st, so that it may be up for consideration at the currently scheduled grants committee that's on the latter part of September. Again, no cost, recommendation to approve for all, and I believe they're all on track to be done, and this will be the end finally of all the planning grants that we have put out there, but a lot of good plans have been resulted from them. Any questions on the amendments? This is the only slide for amendments. Okay. Next, I'll go into an overview of the FY27 applications received. So we received 157 applications for FY27 awards. So this doesn't actually even include applications we've received throughout the year that the grants committee has considered and approved for additional FY26 awards. This is just for the amount that were due by either mid-March or the beginning of April for applications for awards that would start on July 1st. And I've got a star there. If you note at the bottom, that's a net increase of 37 applications over the amount we got at this time frame in fiscal year 26 a year ago. And that includes about 7 or 8 projects that were not being renewed because they were at the end of their planned process. So a big increase this year over previous years. Great work continues to be had by the liaisons. You can see we had 68 individual distributions, 82 cooperative partnerships, and the 7 operations stops applications. And so those are just renewals to carry their funds along because the plan for those was always to operate it for at least 2 years. Total funds requested is 56 million. That includes 15 million in carry forward, from FY 26 and 40 million in new funds for FY 27. And the results of our review is during the review process, five localities decided to withdraw their applications either due to feedback that we might not be able to recommend approval based on some unallowable uses. There's also one that was combined with another that, excuse me, um, to instead of having two applications for the same project, there's only one. We have two applications that have been recommended for denial, which I will cover as we come across them, and 150 applications recommended for funding, which will give us 150 city, county, and projects to be tracking as of uh, July 1st, in addition to those planning grants that are being extended. So keep going up and up. Our total recommendation is just over 51 million, with 15 million in carry, 15.7 in carry forward, and 35.2 in FY 27 funds. And believe this is there'll be something towards the end, but I believe this is the largest amount for cities and counties that we've approved in New Year, that we've recommended in New Year funds since the beginning. And so you can see applications received by year. So this is just those ones that come in for the new fiscal year. Again, like we were looking at on the previous slide. And you can see this is historical. In our initial session, we got about 40. The next year, 82. Last year, 118. This year, 157. So that means we got 397 applications, and we had to review them and make recommendations for them over the course of about 9.5 months when you combine the times that we're working those over this year. So there's a lot of work that goes into this each year by especially the liaisons and Sharika, and it's really a team effort. Tony and Adam doing different levels of reviews and feedback, Matt helping with the portal, Sharika helping with everything, Kara also helping with some things. So it's and James also doing reviews and helping us craft responses to things. So big team efforts going on. Quick update about where we are on Gold Standard. We are up to 76 Gold Standard localities as of June 1st. That's 57% of the total. 133. That's an increase of 17% from where we were in June of 25, and an increase of 105% from where we were in June of 24. So not at 100% adoption yet, but still steadily moving up. And so there's a few standard OAA award contingencies that I wanted to mention as we go through that are applied throughout. The document that was posted to the Commonwealth calendar, as well as that the committee received last week, has links to show where all the details are for each project and what their contingencies are. But we have as a standard contingency and also part of the terms and conditions that are going into effect for July 1 to ensure that that the fiscal agent and their related parties are reviewing the Opioid Abatement Authority News Update newsletter, which is kind of our official form of broad communication to them. If there's a new project, we always get a completed written agreement, MOU, a contract between the fiscal agent and any subrecipient organizations. For renewed projects, when there's carry forward, they have to encumber 80%, demonstrate that they've encumbered 80% of the carry forward before we will transmit the next year's funds. And there's also a process to complete after the end of the performance period that's called the carry forward true up. In previous years, that has been its own report. But happy to announce we have deployed an update to the portal that combines that carry forward true up and the annual report into one step. So that's one less thing for us to manage, and certainly one less kind of a reduction in administrative burden for the cities and counties and the state agencies as well. That'll be a little bit easier on all of us. If there's an amendment and there's any changes, they need to update any operational and or subrecipient agreements. Specific to cooperative applications, all new cooperative partnership awards, apologies, have to complete an operational agreement amongst all the cities and counties. And any renewals have to acknowledge that we place a cap on future year renewal amounts that's based on a formula that's set up during their first renewal year. And they can ask for more than what that amount is, but they're competing for the delta between the two. That also helps with long-term planning for financial commitments. And then a few things that are specific to certain situations. If there's a large amount of non-OAA matching funds that are that are not things that are in control of the city or county, we ask for, say that's like a federal grant or something, we ask for documentation securing that. If they're doing a request for proposal as part of their process, we ask for a finalized copy of that, usually before we will. And all of these are primarily before we will transmit any awarded funds. A new one for this year is the oh, apologies. Fiscal agent agrees to submit a capital cost progress report. So any projects that have been identified to have a capital cost agreement because they have a very high usage of funds for purchasing a building, renovating a building, buying a very large, expensive vehicle like a mobile treatment unit, things like that. We are implementing a capital cost progress report so we can have better oversight of what's happening during these projects, and so can better support the awardee as well as make sure that we know what's going on and what's going on with any funds that have been transmitted. And it'll happen on a quarterly basis until the capital portion of the project is complete. So if you have a 5-year project and the capital's done by the end of year 2, then and everything is compliant, then they won't have to continue to do that. That is a process that we'll handle manually with a file until we can get it flushed out and make sure we're getting everything that we need. But we believe it'll be helpful and more transparent on everyone. Additionally, with that, anytime we have a large usually a capital project, a large award that has milestones involved in it, that we will transfer funds. The first transfer will be 25% after any pre-transmittal contingencies have met. And then after that, the additional installments will be not less than 25%, so long as the most recent capital cost project has been submitted. You know, at least a fourth of the project's milestones have been met based on the timeline, and that evidence of funds that have been transmitted previously are encumbered to be spent. So that it's kind of a three-way thing, and it's possible if they could do all of these things in a certain time frame, they might get more than 25%. But we want it to be flexible for them, but we also don't want to be transmitting millions of dollars that end up sitting not being used for a year and a half while administrative processes are done. I apologize. These two got run together, so you see my cursor here, where it says certain harm reduction projects. That should be its own bullet down here. This is a contingency we've been using for the last year or two for specific harm reduction projects, just to ensure that they agree to abide by all state and federal laws, including but not limited to certain Virginia Code sections, and that any drug checking services will be performed solely for approved efforts and not to the benefit of drug dealers, sellers, or other third parties. We have a few projects that were required to provide a yearly report um, things like removing barriers and grants, sub-grants and things like that that have been awarded. It goes to an attachment to their annual report. We have some projects that are doing a lot of data gathering and mapping, and so we have them sharing that data with 211 and 988. And let's see, we have anytime that if we get a project that seems to make it seem like their long-term sustainability to lobby the General Assembly to stay in compliance with budget language, we make sure that they know that the OAA awarded funds are not used and connected to those any legislative advocacy efforts. And lastly, here projects with only 1 year of funding requested. They are eligible to renew and to carry forward, but they don't have any funds set aside for them. So they're competing for funds each year until they provide out year projections. And if there's anything else that's specific as I go through and highlight programs, I will mention those. So any questions on contingencies before I jump into the first round of recommendations? Right, hearing none. Starting with individual distributions. And each slide that I go through here, they're organized by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services region, because that's how we do a lot of our budgeting, even though our OAA regions don't exactly align up with those. But as you can see in the table here, both regional information is listed. So this is DBHDS Region 1, which is kind of like the kind of a northern part of the northwestern part of the state into some of the central part. Um, and these are renewals that they have requested. There are 17 renewals. And we have broken out the recommendations of carry forward funds and then fiscal year 27 funds, totaling for Region 1, 900, a little over $904,000. And as you may remember, individual distribution projects are awarded if as long as they stay in compliance and their request to use the funds meets the requirements. There's not a competition amongst themselves because these funds are set aside for each city and county. So on to this slide combines DBHDS Region 2, which is like Northern Virginia, like traditional Northern Virginia area, and DBHDS Region 3, which is Southwest and most of South Side Virginia. So the smallest by land area and the largest by land area. You can see we've got 6 renewals in Region 2, totaling 1.5 million in new fiscal year funds. And we have 12 renewals in Region 3, totaling about 619,000 in new FY27 funds. All right, and this slide combines individual distributions for DBHDS Region 4, which is kind of the Metro Richmond area and kind of south towards the southern border of the state. Have 8 renewals and carry forward amount and the new FY27 amounts are very similar, total of 884,507. And then DBHDS Region 5, which is the eastern part of the state, 7 renewals, about 659,000 in new fiscal year funds. Any questions on individual distribution renewals before I move on to the next section?
Hey, Charlie,
Yes.
I'll just mention for the folks that are watching online that This is on our website, not the necessarily the exact same presentation, but the table that lists the awards is on our website under the news and announcements.
Hmm.
And anybody with an internet connection can open it up and click on those individual project names
Hmm.
and click on them, and it'll take you. Those are hyperlinks. And when you click on it, it'll bring up the project description. So it's obviously a little more than we can do in today's session to review the details of each project. But for anyone that's interested, you can see those details at your leisure just by going to our website.
Yeah. Good point, Tony. Thank you. So if you're on our homepage and you go to news and updates, it's the top one here. And there's a little summary, and you open this document. You can see the overall executive summary, and then here's the charts that I was just showing. And let's see, let me choose something here. Culpeper Recovery Court. So you click on that link, and it loads the public document that has the requested information, a description of the project, and then the staff's review and final recommendations, as well as any contingencies, and then a summary of the budget tables. All right. So I'm assuming no other questions there. Moving on to new individual distribution projects. So here we've got 13 new projects. They all fit onto one slide. Um, to start, Frederick County, we'll start with Region 1 up top. Frederick County's get a project for peer recovery specialists. Warren County has a project for their summer camp programs, adding some transportation to that. The more operational side of the summer camp program was approved last year. Um, but I will have to note also this other application for Warren County is one of our denials, the Fantasyland Limes Park Rejuvenation and Community Safety Project. Um, it did not actually request any OAA funding. It was going to be a use of direct distributions, but given that Warren County is a gold standard county, the usage around this to kind of restore this park um, to be kind of a safe place for the community to be together and convene without having to, worry about imp coming across or impacting, people using illegal substances and potentially having overdoses and things like that. It's kind of it's a nice idea, but it's hard to connect that into something like Exhibit E or the requirements or what a specific abatement outcome would be. So um, we gave that information to Warren County. They asked us to go ahead and put this in front of the grants committee. So um, we can, if you have any questions as we get through this, I'll be happy to either answer them today or bring answers to the meeting on Monday, but that will be up for consideration for denial. Um, excuse me. Charlottesville City has a project for reentry and behavioral health supports pilot. Franklin County is doing youth mental health first aid in schools and also doing a family drug treatment court. Um, Roanoke City is partnering with RAM, which is Roanoke Area Ministries, I believe, for a program to work with in the community. Wise County is doing a recovery to work business redevelopment initiative. Henrico County is working to purchase its own hidden in plain sight trailer. If you're not familiar with this, this is a trailer that sets up things like uh, a child's bedroom and teaches parents how to look for different signs of things that might be, drugs that are hidden or signs of potential substance use going on with their kid, and then how to, support them and work with them through that. Henrico, it says number of projects, also has a community corrections and recovery court recidivism study going that they want to do. Um, they're also doing some expansions in their veterans treatment recovery court, and then adding prescriber hours for the medication therapy for overdose patients. And then Colonial Heights is adding a workforce education and training initiative. And James City County is doing a community naloxone access and overdose prevention. So all of these projects, with the exception of the Warren County Fantasyland Lions Park rejuvenation, are recommended for funding. And you can see the funding totals listed out here by DBHDS region, and we're looking at a total recommendation of $714,329.80 between individual distribution and gold standard for these projects. Any questions on these new individual projects? All right, keep going. Now into the deeper, largest set of applications that we get each year for cooperative partnerships. This is our amendments and renewals. First, want to display this map up top here. This is the different DBHDS regions. And as a refresher, the with our competitive awards, the OAA is tasked with making sure that they are distributed across all five regions in an equitable manner. We have adopted a policy on that that does take into the fact that we don't always get equitable applications and things. But that is where our cooperative partnership budget is established from, is based on these regions. But then also I have the OAA regions with our local government liaisons. And just so you can see a little bit visually about where there's overlap between them. But the OAA regions are set out to help the liaisons, get to people and travel to people easier, versus the DBHDS regions are more, I believe, set up based on population. So we're continuing with our theme of DBHDS region organization. This is Region 1 again. These are renewals. There are 13. We're recommending about $1 million of carry forward, about 4.3 million in fiscal year 2027 funds, and an additional 898,000 in unrestricted funds. The column all the way here to the right is the amounts that are being recommended in for unrestricted. They are notably the Lynchburg City Adult Detox program that's with a partnership with Campbell County and Horizon Behavioral Health. This project's initial year was capital award to help build the detox as an add-on to the crisis center that they were working on. And so because of that, it was awarded as unrestricted. So even though they're now into an operational phase, we continue to recommend to fund that out of the unrestricted. And then the other one out of unrestricted for Region 1 is Buena Vista City for the Hope House project, partnering with Rockbridge County and Lexington City. This has been an incredibly successful project, and it's continued to expand and grow. They have added an adjacent facility. The house they have for Hope House is for men, but they have an adjacent facility that's next door that they now can house women, including pregnant and parenting women. And so this is being moved from cooperative funding to unrestricted funding on our recommendation, in part because there's a one-time ask in this to help purchase that women's facility for about $150,000. to help their long-term sustainability. But each time that they've asked for any change in funds, they've also increased their performance measures, and they've increased their services in their community. And otherwise, the rest of these projects are compliant status and moving along well. Some of them are going into they're from the original set of applications, and so they're getting into their latter years. So like the Albemarle County projects up here, which are with the community Region 10 Community Service Board. They're going into their year four of the initial 5 years for that's available for renewals. So total all combined of about 6.2 million for Region 1. Region 2 renewals. We have two, one of which is the residential treatment program for adolescents, which opened earlier this year and is actively taking, excuse me, actively seeing patients. And so this ask is just to help them continue along with their operations. The project has kind of changed from original budget processes, and we helped get that straightened out in alignment last year. And now that they're into an operational phase, that's it's getting more right sized, which is why the ask is not very high. But now that once they get into full operations, the ask will probably increase in the next year. But with there only being two projects in Region 2, there's certainly money available in future years for their budgets to help support it. The other one is the Prince William opioid-based office treatment program, which is and both of these were came around, I believe, in the first year of they're both going into their fourth year of operation. So just cooperative funds on these 1.684556 on to Region 3. And so if you notice, this says part one of two. Region 3 continues to have the most amount of cooperative applications. I believe I actually can't even remember how many came in overall. I just know that Cindy, for her Western region, was working 27 cooperative applications, and everyone else had around 20 or less. So, um, thanks to Cindy as always for her excellent work out there and continuing this. And hats off to Southwest Virginia. Lots of good programs and lots of creative programs and figuring out how to use the funds and bringing in matching funds and large partnerships. So this page comprises 12 renewals, some of which are kind of just carry forward, such as the Wildwood Health and Wellness Center. They're just kind of getting their operational agreements in place and getting things moving along, and we'll start to be spending down some of those funds. Some of them have some expansions, such as the Grayson County Recovery Court, which is adding some additional matching funds and components. Um, some of them have also been around for a while, like Montgomery County. They requested more funds than what we have recommended, but we've recommended a lower amount to try and right size them from having larger carry forward that they've had each year over year. And are working with them to make sure that we're not, this is not meant to be a punishment or any type of negative impact to the overall operations. It's just trying to get the budgets and the cash usage to match up. Um, For Truth's recovery, postpartum women's implementation expansion is continuing was a pilot program for year one. It's continuing as a second year with operations. There was some administrative delays in getting the agreement set up with them in the city, so they didn't really get a good full year of operations. So they're going to another year. of pilot operations before they consider any potential requests for capital funds. And so as you can see here, we're at about 4.3 million in carry forward, 5.5 in fiscal year 27 funds, and about 516,000 on this page in unrestricted. The unrestricted comprises the Grove on Patterson restoration housing project, which has historically been funded out of unrestricted, and it continues its operations. And the same thing with the Appalachian Center for Hope treatment facility in Smith County is also continuing on its operations and has been historically funded from unrestricted. And so on to the rest of DBHDS Region 3, we have another 9 renewals here, um, comprising carry forward of 2.2 million, FY27 funds of 2.3, and unrestricted of 789,000. The unrestricted projects, again, have been historically funded with unrestricted, including Wise County's Strong Futures for Southwest Virginia, Residential Center, as well as the Allegheny County Community Service Board One Stop SUD Continuum. Got to see that facility at its grand opening a little earlier this spring. And so this was a cap. This started off with capital and is now moving into an operational phase, and it's just again was historically funded with unrestricted funds. One other note: the Piedmont Community Services Lighthouse program under Henry County had a lot of delays just trying to get things in place. They had to change from their original location that they had planned, and so their funding is just carrying forward from the previous year. They had requested some additional funds for this year, but after discussion, it seems that basically the year one timeline has become year two, so everything's just kind of pushing out a little bit. And so our totals down here for DBHDS Region 3 overall, total carry forward of about 6.7 million, total FY 27 funds of 7.9, total unrestricted of 1.3, grand total operational funds to potentially be spent in FY 27 of 15.8 million for Region 3. And a big while this carry forward number is very large, a good piece of that is the capital funds that are being carried forward, at least half for the Wildwood Center, which is on track to be spending those funds soon. So I don't expect that number to be as high next year. On to DBHDS Region 4, 13 renewals. Carry forward recommendation of 2.1, FY 27 funds of 2.1, no unrestricted for this, excuse me, for this region. A total of 4.2. Most of these projects are moving along as they have been. The Chesterfield County's Mobile Outreach Services for Harm Reduction, Treatment, and Support is another one that had requested a higher amount of funds, and we're recommending a lower amount on the cooperative to try to right size them from their earlier years awards and get the spending, the cash awards, and the budgets more aligned so that large carry forwards are not happening year over year. Excuse me. Thing wants to here. That's this one. On to DBHDS Region 5 now, 9 renewals, 1.425 million, and carry forward 1.5, and FY 27 funds and no unrestricted funds for this as well, total of 2.9. Don't believe we had any where we were not able to where we had to reduce their requested amount. We'll note that the James City County, wrong project, excuse me, the James City County project for Recovery Court and Behavioral Health has had a lot of fits and starts trying to get the everything approved, but they received their approval letter um, just a little over a month ago, and they're going to begin operations, I believe, next week. So we're very happy to see that finally get out. So they're still doing carry forward. So expect them to be able to actually spend some money and get things going and be able to get some new services out there for that community. So, summary of cooperative partnership amendments and renewals of 57 total renewals with a total recommendation of just over 31 million, combining carry forward the new fiscal year amounts and the unrestricted total FY 27 amount of about 17 million, total unrestricted of about 2.2. Any questions on cooperative partnerships amendments before I move to cooperative partnership news? Hearing none. On the new cooperative partnership recommendation. Oh, second. DBHDS Region 1 again, 6 new projects. Recommending to fund 149,000 in OAA match. That's the combination of the individual and gold standard where applicable. There are no additional cooperative funds out of what's covered in the renewal recommendations. But there is 5.6 million in unrestricted funds that are being recommended for a total of excuse me, there's a typo here um, on my total recommendation amount. Um, I'll reiterate that when I get to the chart where it has the correct amount at the end. Um, but the you can see the unrestricted projects here. These are good projects that we've received that are covering gaps in specific areas, such as this one with Bath and Highland. This is the first project to involve Bath County in any way, shape, or form, and one of only a couple that are involving Highland County. And it's been working with their health department to do some rural mobile health outreach. The Lynchburg City project for Cabell Street's Women's Recovery Center is basically shovel ready. And so this amount is more of like a one-time amount for capital renovation. And then from there, they will move into operations with lower requests in the out years. And they will have the capital cost agreement requirement and that capital reporting requirement. Another one is this is the Orange County Rural Recovery Court Recovery Capital Project. This is going to be removing a lot of barriers for amongst a number of counties with Orange, Madison, Nelson, and Fluvanna, helping to make sure that people are able to get to their recovery court appointments and do the things that are required of them. And so and then the last one is a new crisis receiving center in stabilization and detox for the Valley Community Service Board, Waynesboro, Augusta, Highland, and Stanton. Um, so this is the biggest ask that they will have. This is for construction on this construction or renovation for the facility. They'll also get the capital cost requirement. They will get the 25% at a time requirement and the capital cost quarterly report requirement. This whole project is in coordination with DBHCS, who's also provided a lot of funding. However, their funding can also be used for capital as well as operations. So they've worked with their localities to reach out to us for funding to help with the capital, since we have a flushed out process for that, and so they can extend some of the DBHDS funds once they get open for operations. At current, they're I think there will be a second amount in year two to help finish the capital portion of the project. Then after that, they don't plan. I don't believe they plan to ask for any operational funds. So one-time awards, another reason for that to come out of unrestricted. And really, the reason you see we have all these zeros in cooperative before Region 1 is we were already kind of over budget or at budget with Region 1 with the cooperative funds, but these were some good projects covering some gaps, and we wanted to try to find ways to fund them. So that's why we recommended the unrestricted. I should also note these two Augusta County projects near the top, Bridge to Recovery, Bridging Harm Reduction and Recovery. They are not requesting cooperative funds or unrestricted funds. They're just using the cooperative application to pull together their various individual match and gold standard amounts. So that's Augusta, Waynesboro, and Stanton, as well as the SAW region. Instead of having to file three separate applications. They're the first set of localities to use the method this way. So this may be something that will work that maybe works in the future and may help reduce some administrative burden on localities as well as on our staff overall. So this will be an interesting test. So there no competitive funds. So this is just individual gold standard match approvals there. Okay, DBHDS Region 2, Northern Virginia. Just one project led by Loudoun County, but with Fairfax, Arlington, Falls Church, Fairfax City, Prince William, and Alexandria. This is actually will be the first project that Falls Church City is a part of, and only the second one for Fairfax City. This is going to be a robust stigma reduction campaign going on throughout the Northern Virginia region. It also came as a result of Loudoun County's planning grant and their opioid abatement strategic plan. 400,000 in cooperative, and there's some other matching funds that are non-OAA funds, and then there's 11,612 in gold standard match for that. And DBHDS Region 3 with 8 new projects, in addition to all of the current ones that are out there. So I'll mention here, if you look at the FY20, the 7 cooperative project, we're clearly have kind of exhausted the funds that are available there. So all of these projects are either closing gaps and or are short-term projects, and so they were recommended for funding, and they also had good, competitive scores. And so they are recommended for funding from the unrestricted bucket. Bedford County, the Regional Jail Authority Recovery and Reentry Program. This is a very robust program. I believe may have been part of something that came out of Bedford County's planning effort. They've also brought in Amherst County, this will be the second project they participated in, first project for Appomattox. And then Campbell County and Lynchburg as well. Should go a long way to helping a lot in this region. The next is Dickinson County. So they will be working with the Southwest Virginia Workforce Development Board. I believe this might be the first project we have that's specifically and directly going to a workforce development board. This is what they call their ROPES program. This is a program that has been in existence supporting connections to work and training for people with substance use disorders for some time, but their funding through federal and other things have kind of dried up. So they're looking to try and continue the project on. This has a very interesting piece to it also, where they have a process by which they help the people that are in the program, when they get to a certain point, purchase a vehicle so that they can get around, which is very important to be able to try to go to training and to appointments, as well as being able to stay and maintain a job in Southwest Virginia, given the lack of public transportation and the navigation of the terrain to get from one area to another. And we worked with them. The process they've used this before, and the recipient has to take a loan and pay back 50% of the cost of the car, then they use that to help buy the next set of cars. And these are decent cars, but they're also not at a high cost. They have a good partnership with some dealers down there to help them go along with that.
So if I can just interrupt for a second,
Yeah.
Charlie, because I think this one deserves kind of an asterisk next to
Hmm.
it. Pretty innovative and interesting project that they're doing. This is one where, the statute says that we're supposed to prioritize projects where the applicant has a proven record of success. And so, whereas purchasing used cars sounds like an odd use for opioid settlement funds, they put forward a really good business plan where people that are in recovery, they can't get to school and they can't get to jobs without transportation. And they really structured this so that the the person that they award the vehicle to, has to demonstrate that they're sticking with their recovery plan. And if they don't, then they have to return the vehicle. And so and of course they've done really well in Dickinson with programs to help people in recovery. So this is one that you may see us highlighting in the future. And I just wanted to interrupt Charlie for a second and point that out.
Yes. I can agree. When I first heard about it, I was a bit skeptical, and as I put my fraud examiner auditor's hat on and asked a bunch of questions, and they had everything that I was concerned about. They already had covered in their process, and they provided some documentation of that with their application. Thanks, Tony. So, and as you notice, this also is one of the, so let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So this will be our second project with 8 localities and partnerships. That's like, I believe that's our largest amount of partners working together to date, covering large area there. The next, Franklin County integrating STI services into substance use and correction. This is the first cooperative project from Franklin County, working with Henry County and Patrick County. Um, and this is one of those hardest hit areas that I think probably has the least amount of OAA resources, as the localities have been trying to figure out through working with CSBs and planning efforts and things what they need to combat their areas. So well put together project that's very much seems very much ready to go and impact those communities. So that was one of the reasons we recommended it. Pulaski County, opioid use disorder recovery supports and reentry. So they had originally requested close around 600,000 or so. Uh, Part of those funds, the majority of those funds go into support injectable opioid agonists for treatment, which is a high cost and something that's very hard to sustain. And in part with trying to balance budgets as well as, but provide some support. We recommended not funding that this year. But what we're funding are positions to help support the recovery and reentry collaboration. Recovery Corps is going to be a partner with this project, and happy to work with them to potentially refine the injectable use to see if there's something that's a little more shovel ready, and is there something that where they're going to be able to find longer term sustainability with that, and tailor the ask to what the people that are involved in the program might actually use. Next 2 projects for Roanoke, the Roanoke City and Roanoke County. Second one also has Salem City in it. It's one of the only projects that they're involved with. To On Our Own, Roanoke Valley, and support for the Bradley's Free Clinic. Both of these scored very high due to issues that are in Roanoke. They were also not very high asks with and did not have like escalating out year costs. And so we saw them as hitting other parts of that community, and that's why we recommended those. And then the last 2 are Isaiah 117 houses. which we've, I believe, funded at least one before. One for Scott, Lee, Norton, and Wise, and one for Washington, Smith, and Bristol. Um, and I believe these are also recommended out of unrestricted, not only for budgetary standpoint, but one of them is I believe the Washington Smith Bristol, Cindy, jump in, correct me if I'm wrong, is just going to be like a one-time ask for capital to help get the facility up and running. The other one is will have some ongoing operational costs, but also it will help all of us to remember that both of those, if both of those projects are approved, that they're both being funded out of unrestricted. So that's about a total of 3.158 with a 3.123 coming out of unrestricted for Region 3. Region 4, we have 6 projects. Brunswick County, substance use disorder clinician. Um, this came from a planning grant with Brunswick, that Brunswick, Mecklenburg, and Halifax participated in, and that came from the original round. And so their result, they did an RFP, and this came at us to seem to be the best project. So this is the first project other than the planning grant involve all 3 localities, and then they brought in some match on that. Chesterfield County project for emergency medical services initiated buprenorphine bridge program. This is, I believe, going to be a hotly watched project across the Commonwealth. I have had conversations with other localities who are looking to figure out how to put in place protocols to be able to initiate buprenorphine in the field when it is warranted. And so it'd be great to see what Chesterfield can bring about with this. Um, the next one for Chesterfield is housing stabilization for substance impacted individuals. This came out of some of their planning efforts as well. They're working with Colonial Heights and Richmond. They had originally requested about twice this amount of money in the first year, but when during the review process, we saw that there's some RFPs and some agreements that need to be put in place, and about half of that money probably wasn't likely to get spent this year. So we reduced it around to what seemed like was likely to be able to be used this year, and discussed that with the locality, and knowing that the year two's request will probably be higher because it'll be reflecting more of a 12-month operation. Additionally, this project had a year-over-year increase in requests, and we've noted that one of the things they'll have to do is figure out how to find other funding for that, or um, relook at the project for the out years because our budgets aren't able to sustain year-over-year increasing costs. And the next project, Chesterfield's Together for Tomorrow, that's the other project that we're not recommending for funding. And part of this is a budget balancing thing, and it also scored lower than all of the other projects that Chesterfield had presented. And it had significant year-over-year increasing costs that weren't sustainable. We let Chesterfield County know that we're happy to work with them to see if there's a more controlled cost model that might be able to be implemented that they could come back and ask for in future years. Henrico County, this is staffing for their mobile unit, community-based substance use disorder services. They have the unit, just need to have some operational support for the staffing. And then Prince Edward County, this is their recovery court. This also came out of their of a planning grant that they did along with a couple of with Buckingham and Cumberland. And there was an individual planning grant for Prince Edward that resulted in a cooperative project with these. But they've all put us about in total about a 30-ish% match in individual distribution funds across all 3 of them. So we're getting some good usage of individual funds on that, and also not a very high ask. So, but total about 1.6 million for this. And Region 5, just one project for Hampton and Newport News. This is the working with the Hampton Peninsula Health Department for Project Lead. This is in part going to be this is them working towards a longer term sustainability for parts of projects that have actually been funded through state agency awards to VDH that have been passed down to this health department, one for a local opioid use disorder coordinator and another for parts of some harm reduction. This will take the project, it will expand it, and get some of the positions to be full-time because there are, more resources available over the next few years by working with the localities than continuing with the health department grant. And that health department grant was really supposed to help for the, at least for the local opioid use disorder coordinators, was to help establish the need and the cost for for those positions so that they could be picked up longer term. I believe they're going to, when they do their renewal, VDH is only going to be going into their last year. So we've got some contingencies in place that if this project is approved, to make sure that the ending of the funding on the state agency side and the beginning of the funding on this side get reconciled, so there's no duplication and the right amount of monies are going into the right buckets forwards and backwards and whatnot. So, they brought in obviously some individual and gold standard match, total of 370,000. So, in reconciling here, total matching funds across all the regions of 521, almost 522,000. Total new cooperative fund award amounts of 2 million, total unrestricted amounts of 8 million, 8.3 million with a grand total of 10 all together in new awards. And again, as I mentioned, a good most of these unrestricted amounts are the bulk of those are one time or 1 or 2 year projects. So this is not an amount we would have to continue to sustain uh, year over year for these projects. Any questions on new cooperative partnership recommendations before I move to Operation Stop? All right. So Operation Stop. So these are all amendment and or renewals. Do you remember Operation Stop? Their first year was last year. This was targeting 7 localities that had a significantly outsized impact on the Black population in their areas where overdose deaths in those communities were going up, while overall in the state opioid overdose deaths were going down. And so STOP is strategically targeted overdose prevention. And this helps those areas work, and they're just required to work with community organizations, community-based organizations to help get out into the community and get resources there to help stem the overdose rates. And so the funding for these work came out of unrestricted. They were set up to be 2 year awards. Obviously, they had to follow their processes and be able to follow our requirements and processes, and to be able to be in compliance to be able to renew. But these were basically kind of set. We expected there to be carry forward funds, which there are on the unrestricted side of just about 3 million. And there's also Richmond City has a gold standard match that they put in with theirs that they're carrying forward. So total recommended all carry forward of a little over 3 million for Operation Stop. But all 7 cities and counties have been engaged and working through their processes, and some of them have implemented some of these programs and will continue to. I think there could be a possibility, depending on where things end up over the next 6 to 8 months, that there could be possibly requests to go into another year if they're still carry forward funds. But I'm just kind of pontificating at the moment. We'll see where things are. But it's great to have the engagement and see these things start to get out into their communities. Any questions on Operation Stop renewals? I think I've only got like 2 more slides. Um, So there's our full summary of recommended amounts. The numbers that you see here in this chart, these are straight from that executive summary document, just showing the amounts by the different categories and funding sources for individual, for cooperative, for Operation Stop, and then kind of our grand total here. With the carry forward added in, we're to the new amounts is about just under 51 million, but 35 million in new funds for FY27. And down here, I have a year-over-year comparison. Last year at this time, we'd recommended 32.6 million in new funds for FY26. And this year we've jumped up almost another 3 million, a little bit less than that, to 35.2. So this is most certainly our largest recommendation of awards for cities and counties to date. Any questions on these numbers? When we do the grants committee meeting on Monday, you will get the typical either Tony or Adam will be presenting the financial plan, how we came to make the recommendations, what the impact on the budget is, as we normally do. Today's focus was just on the actual recommendations and the details themselves.
Charlie, I would just add that this brings the total since the OAA opened its doors a little less than 4 years ago of funds that have been awarded by this board, by our grants committee, cumulative is almost $150 million. And so when you consider that the total amount that the authority is likely to receive and distribute over the 20-year life of the settlements is a little under 600 million, it's good progress. And although early on we saw some delays in our city and county recipients in being able to put their money to use, you're now seeing them get traction with their projects and moving them forward. And so kudos to our applicants for putting together these projects and to the team for reviewing and negotiating and preparing them for the committee's consideration.
And our next steps is we'll have a summary of this presentation along with the financial model on our in-person grants committee meeting this coming Monday, June 15th, 9:30 a.m. at the Hotel Roanoke in Shenandoah, A. Which will be followed immediately then by a meeting of the board of directors.
Charlie, would you mind reminding everybody about what the appeal process is for individual grants and then
Yes.
the non-appeal process for cooperatives?
Yes, that is true. So there is an appeal process for the individual distribution award recommendations, whereby if the if the grants committee, votes to deny an individual distribution um, project, because those are kind of like we look at those as kind of like an entitlement fund. So Scatter just really has to pass the test. Does it meet the requirements or not? And we do allow the applicant, city or county, to request an appeal by which they can potentially provide additional information to staff to review and add in, but also they can kind of make their case to the full board of directors at the next board meeting. And so but that only applies to individual distributions, and then the board can render their decision. They can overturn the grants committee's decision, or they can uphold it. And at that point, that is the end of the process. That is not available for cooperative partnerships because those are competitive. Same for state agencies. And same for Operation Stop because those are competitive. Those were competitive as well. Any final questions? Hour and 12 minutes
And so
for
the hope
for
is that
152 recommendations.
so the hope was that we because of the number of recommendations, the number of grants, we wanted to have the opportunity to discuss these, to present them prior to the meeting on Monday, so that we're not rushed Monday to try to provide all the background. We want the committee, grants committee, and any public comments. We want you to have time to ask your questions, to talk about the process um, if that's a desire to do so without having to hear, the entire presentation that Charlie went through on Monday morning on top of all the other business that we're doing. So we appreciate the members of the Grants Committee as well as the general public for tuning in. This is being recorded and we'll post it on the website so that people who weren't able to attend live can watch it, watch the recording.
Yep. And if any questions come up, as you're making dinner or something, having a cup of coffee tomorrow, feel free to shoot me an email and be happy to work with the team and either get back to you or bring those answers to the grants committee meeting. So appreciate everyone's time and attention here today. And again, big kudos to the team, the Sharika with the Yeoman's Lions work share of work. And then obviously the liaisons doing a large list as well. Certainly the largest amount each individual person has worked in workload share in this short period of time as well.